evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilman Marlon Lewis.
Heads down, bowed, and eyes closed in reverence to his utmost, our highest. Lord God, we come right now just to say thank you, Lord God, for another year almost completed, Lord God. We thank you for the guidance and giving us good leadership, Lord God. We pray for all our community members, our constituents, Lord God, all our department heads, Lord God. We pray for safety during the holiday season, Lord God, in all ways, Lord God. We also ask that you provide for families that are needed, that do not have, Lord God. And Lord God, just do what you always do, Lord God. And let us never forget the real meaning for the season, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas.
Present.
Councilmember Brooke Marcotte. Here. Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard.
here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember DeeDee Johnson-Reed.
Here.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here.
Thank you. Public comment. Do we have any public comment cards tonight?
None.
Hearing and seeing none, I'll take this time to remind you to put your phones on vibrate. And with that, we'll move on to item 2.
Acceptance of the minutes of November 15th, 2022, which will publish on December 7th, 2022.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Marlon Lewis and a second.
Second.
Who had the second?
Oh.
I think David.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Councilman David
someone did
Broussard had the second. Is there any discussion on our minutes of November the 15th? Hearing, seeing none, I'd ask you to vote your machine.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Thank y'all very much. All right, item 3A.
Willie Bergeron to address the council to discuss the renewal of CLECO franchise agreement with the city of New Iberia.
You'll see in front, you have a copy of the franchise agreement, which is the same one that we will be utilizing again. Tonight is just a discussion. At the next meeting, we'll have action, introductions, and the following meeting we would adopt. But that way, we're early on, and while Willie's here, we're all know what we're talking about.
Okay.
So, Willie, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, Mayor, Council, thank you for having us. Typically, what we like to do is come out to our municipalities 2 to 3 years in advance of the sunset of the initial contract, which yours comes up in 2025. Mayor DeCourt and I have had some visits in the past, and there's some improvements that he would like to do within the city. And we decided that we could come out a little bit earlier than the 2 years period and give an early renewal for the contract and hopefully help out the city with the improvements that he would like to have done. So we're asking that your approval so that we can enter into negotiations with the mayor for the franchise renewal, which would be an additional 25-year renewal.
Okay.
So tonight is just a discussion. Like I said, we'll be moving forward after that. So does anybody have any discussion?
I do.
Okay, great. Go ahead. Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed.
Yeah, so, Mr. Bergeron, I know you guys have come before, and then, we've talked about some things that you could do for the city, but one of the things that we've noticed over the last, let's say, 12 months, is that this new rate structure that CLECO has put in place has really become a burden for a lot of our citizens, especially the elderly, and there's no real relief. And so, when I look at even Entergy, they're always on TV saying, okay, you know what, we'll help you with your bills. I don't see anything like that from CLECO. And I actually went on your website, and the only thing I saw on the website, and maybe I missed something, was through the rental assistance program where you can get, if you get rental assistance, then you can also ask for some sort of relief on your utility bill. And a lot of our people either didn't qualify or didn't know how to do that. And so there was no relief for them. And we had people with large utility bills over the summer. And it seems like, because we're an old city, we have a lot of old homes here, we have a lot of elderly people here, that this was a huge burden on them during the summertime. I'm assuming things are getting a little better now because it's getting a little cooler, although it's been really hot this week. But when Mike Francis came, I guess a few months ago, to talk to us about, or just kind of chat with us about his campaign, one of the things that we asked was that there be some sort of program for our elderly people here, some sort of relief. Because even if they went up there and they said, okay, I'll put you on some sort of payment plan, one, the payments were really high, and two, next month, it's worse, because you might have gave me 4 or 5 months to pay the last bill, but the next bill is just as high. And so that's not a real relief. And so what I'm looking for from CLECO is some sort of program to assist our elderly and disabled people in New Iberia, because, like I said, that new rate structure has really, really caused some people's bill to go very, very high. Because
Yes, ma'am. The natural gas over the past year has almost tripled in price. Most of our fuel that we use for generation purposes is with natural gas. So you saw a spike from $3 per MMBTU all the way up to $9. And that's not anything that the utility companies, Entergy, CLECO, anyone can control. That's the price of natural gas. And unfortunately, that is a pass-through price, a pass-through cost from us to our consumers, to anyone. We don't make money off of the fuel costs. It's passed on to our consumers. The prices haven't stabilized, but it looks like they're going down a little bit, and we're hoping that they continue to go down. Along with the cooler weather, we're looking for some relief on that. Energy efficiency, as we discussed in one of the past meetings, our energy efficiency group can come out to rental properties, to commercial properties, to residential properties, and do an assessment free of charge, put insulation in, as even with the renters. If they get landlord permission, we can come in and do a full assessment and put insulation in their attics and see some relief there. We do give money to community action, as we discussed before. We offer the payment plans. We don't have any, like Entergy had their one-time payment for their customers. We don't do that, and theirs ran out very quickly. But we do offer other ways to help our customers.
so would you say that, I know the natural gas price was high, but would you say that CLECO has been producing this electricity the most efficient way possible?
Yes, ma'am. Natural gas is one of the more efficient and cleaner burning fuels. And besides that, we do have petcoke in one of our North Louisiana plants. We try to run as efficiently and as clean as we can.
Okay, it's just, as we move forward, and if we decide to sign this agreement with CLECO moving forward, we have to have some sort of programs in place for the poor. Because utility companies, I mean, a lot of the people here, yeah, it's going to be fine, but there's a large percentage of the elderly and disabled people that would need some sort of relief. And a company the size of CLECO, I would think that it would have some sort of program in place to assist those low-income seniors and disabled people.
We are looking at another option where a customer can call in, and they can get not only assistance from the utility company, from us, but they can get assistance in many different facets of their lives just by calling us and going through a process. We're trying to finalize that, and we're trying to go through that the fine tuning on that now. It's going to help out customers with anything from rental assistance to food. It's going to help them out tremendously, and we just have to get it off the ground, and we're working on that right now.
Okay, and my last question, and I'll let somebody else go, is on the new rate structure, have you guys looked at the data to see how this new rate structure, I mean, obviously, I know you're a for-profit company, but have you looked at the data to see how that new rate structure has impacted your customers?
We have, and before we came out with the rate structure, it had to go through the Public Service Commission. They reviewed it, their auditors reviewed it, And if you look at the tier, the first, if you use less than 1,000 kWh, it's 0.069 cents per kWh, which most of our customers fall into a lower income category. So this was designed to try to help them out, to try to help them with their bills with a lower rate tier. If you go above 1,000 kWh, the price gets a little bit higher. But everything that we have done was to try to cater to our lower income customers.
And just so you know, at least in my opinion, and again, I don't have any scientific data to back this up, but the fact is that because we have a lot of older homes here with, that are not as energy efficient, they aren't energy efficient windows, you name it. That rate structure actually didn't work for a lot of people. Most people were way over that 1,000. And you know what? Prove me wrong by, if you guys pull the data, let us see the data to see how many people in our community were impacted by the new rate structure. And were most of our people able or falling within that first 1,000? And if not, then, maybe we should talk more about the rate structure.
I would also advise, like I said, the energy efficiency facet is free of charge to every customer. I would advise them to call us or contact anyone, come into the office, and they can get that assessment, they can get the installation, they can get the weather stripping, LED lighting, they can get all of that at no cost to them.
And I actually called in to the program, and the person who was supposed to come out didn't show up, said they were going to call me, still haven't come to my house. So I don't know how many people are experiencing that, but I know I experienced it, because I just wanted to see what people would have to deal with when they actually made the call. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to be able to explain to people how this works. And I still haven't had anything done. No one showed up to my house.
Somebody will contact you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
While I'm hot on this, can I say something?
Sure.
I guess I can. Why don't we use my office? Okay, well, if I have every council person select some people who need that energy efficient help, I'll let my office coordinate it. They call in, they give it to my secretary. She calls in, makes a list. In other words, if I end up, because I would like to see this work, if I end up with 2 or 3 from each district very quickly, so, and Ricky as well, so you end up with 21 houses, okay? Can I turn them into you in that quantity?
Sure
And we
can.
could coordinate and see how this works?
Sure can.
Okay, because I think maybe, we have to look for every relief we can. We can't control the whole situation, I understand that. And I know tonight it's about the agreement, but we're gonna talk about everything with CLECO while we're talking about this. So I would be willing, if the council is, to coordinate that, and you start sending them in, and let's see how we can go in bulk and say, okay, you don't have one to come and do the New Iberia, now you got 30. And see how we could launch that, because it would help some people. In other words, if they're gonna come and insulate, if they're gonna do, energy efficient windows were an
Weather-
option,
weather
weather
stripping.
stripping, insulating an attic. I wanna do everything I can to help.
And-
So
and-
that would be a way that maybe we could do it in bulk, if you will, and ask that, each person try to come up with a few houses so that we could see how it would work if they came in and mobilized their subcontractors, mobilized people, and came and hit, quite a few houses.
And
Okay,
have
but-
y'all- I'm sorry, have y'all come in to one of the houses and see how the process actually goes through?
So then I would ask this. We can get the data from this year. That's our baseline. We do the work. Next summer, let's see the data's
Well,
different. It's
That's
better.
why I wanted to get it started if I could, because we're never gonna know how much it really works unless we get something going,
Okay. I just want to
No,
make
I
sure
just
that,
thought, as
yeah.
you were talking about it, you made me think about it, so anyway,
And it's
I'm
not
done.
just for our residential customers, but it's for our commercial customers as well.
Okay.
The commercial, it's a little bit different program for the commercial than the residential,
I
but
know.
we still have that energy efficiency program.
Okay. Again, we need to be able to see, because what we don't want to do is leave our citizens hanging with these large bills, especially the elderly, and more elderly and disabled people. And I want to know that the rate structure you guys put in place isn't an undue burden on them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And do know that we do offer the extensions, the payment arrangements. We do offer a lot of things to try to help out our customers.
Okay.
I have 2 questions.
Yes, ma'am. And then
When,
Ricky.
when our service commissioner came, he did say they approved a partial increase, and there should be maybe another increase.
No, that was Loco.
Oh, okay.
That was Loco.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Loco.
I know, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You had me wiping my brow for a second.
that was
I
a good
know he can
curveball.
be.
there.
I was about to call up Tommy.
But you also said that because the natural gas prices increase, that is always passed on to the customer.
Yes, ma'am.
Why wouldn't, or why couldn't your company pay for part of that increase rather than passing it completely on to the consumers? Absorb some of that increase in the natural gas price.
I don't think that any company, any utility company would absorb any of that fuel cost price. It's, again, we don't make money off of the fuel that it takes to generate the power. It's a pass-through. I understand your position, but I don't think that, honestly, I don't think that any company would do that. I may be wrong, but
Would you ask your company?
yes, ma'am.
I mean, you have not because you asked not.
Oh, how
So
about
I
that?
just asked.
Okay.
Thank you. Ricky, I know you,
I think all the thoughts and ideas that we discussed tonight, but I mean, the true dynamics of it is inflation. And I mean, there's only so much private companies can do to adhere to the scope of what they're trying to provide for the customer. And Coleco's here trying to provide a safe, affordable product to our homeowners, which they are, and of obviously incurring huge, substantial costs in their operations. And they can't incur it without, passing some of that cost on. It goes with every business, in my business, in everybody's business. But, I do think that there are, families out there that there's other avenues that we can maybe explore to offer some assistance. But in the big scheme of things, it's a business world, and inflation that's affecting the whole America right now. And I think it's not only in electricity, it's in water, it's in garbage, it's in anything you want. Look at your fuel surcharge on your garbage bill. I mean, they pass it on to the customer as well. So we just got to do what we can do as a government entity to try to ease the pain on our constituents in whatever way we can. But as far as for a private business absorbing the fuel costs, highly unlikely. But it's worth the question. But on the assessment deal, we need to make sure it's clear that Cleco comes do the assessment. They don't provide the installation, the weather strip, and the homeowners have to provide.
No, sir.
That's not true.
no,
We do.
they provide it all.
Okay, that's what
Our
I want. I
energy
That's what I'm
didn't-
saying, we
efficiency-
should be taking advantage of this
Okay, well, that's
by the
good.
hilt,
Our,
man.
our energy efficiency group has contractors out,
Okay.
and those contractors come out, which may be the disconnect, Ms. Didi, with you, is the contractor hasn't reached out to you. But we have several contractors throughout our service territory, and they come out and if installation is needed, they put installation at no charge. They provide the weather stripping, the LED lighting, all of that.
But that's definitely what we need.
Yeah,
to
we should be
try to
all over
get
that.
a group
Yeah.
together. So, okay, well, the answer, that's what I want to know, if they provide the materials as well to the homeowners.
Cool. Councilman Broussard.
Covered a lot of good stuff. The main thing, sir, is getting the juice back on. We've been having trouble, it's my own neighborhood, but for years, coming out that Sonic,
Yes, sir, you and
all
I
the
have,
businesses.
talked
Oh,
about that in the
It's been a while. I
past.
called you last time. We were the last to come up just on the regular, just juice go off. Wasn't a hurricane. 2 days, 3 days. That's getting ridiculous. So please, not even in my area, if y'all can figure out ways
We
to
have,
troubleshoot.
we have contractors and we have rehab
My
crews that
neighbors
have
are
been
all
working.
going to the big generators. They fed up with that. So
Can
they're
you
going to the
clarify
big
what juice
generators.
is?
Huh?
Can you clarify what juice is?
Electricity. So if you don't mind, I called you before. I don't wanna call, I'm usually the last to call you, because I think it's gonna keep coming on, you didn't forget about us. But we feel forgotten in that little spot back there, and we all know it's coming out of that, shopping center. Mine comes straight out the shopping center to us.
I've been
So
there
in a
before.
big way, not only me, but other places, if you can really shoot while it's kinda quiet, go look where the trouble is.
We,
See what's causing so much.
Mr. Broussard, we've had some contract crews and some rehab crews in that area the past several months, and we've been working. There's been some times that they have found some things and corrected it, and we're gonna continue to try to make that as smoothly as possible.
Yes, sir. And we appreciate everything y'all do. We have to live with y'all, you know.
Yes, sir.
Y'all a big, big company, and we appreciate everything you do.
Well, I appreciate living with you as
Y'all
well.
can, before the lid flies off, if you can help us, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, I couldn't articulate as well as Ms. Johnson did concerning, you know, the issues concerning the elderly and disabled people and disenfranchised people who I represent. That's why I'm up here. I never had a problem paying my bill by the grace of God, but I have had to use the program where they allow, you know, you to break your bill up, and that helped a little bit. And, you know, my suggestion is that we do take advantage of all of the programs. And the thing about programs, a lot of people don't have access to internet where they can actually apply for some of these programs. So, Mayor, I do like you kind of putting your foot on the gas and saying, you know, hey, listen, we'll spearhead this program for our constituents. Look, I don't believe in shooting a messenger. You know, Willie, we have worked pretty good together from the Christmas lights to hurricanes and stuff like that. You helped me understand when I was getting phone calls about why is the power off on the black side of town and it's not off on the white side of town. And I called you and you helped me. You said, Marlo, I need you to understand grids cross like this, and you very well can have one side of the street with power on the other side. And I was able to articulate that to my constituents, and I appreciate that. So I don't believe in shooting a messenger. But you did say that the price of gas is going, as the price of gas goes down, it is potentially possible for the cost to go down to our
Right. Our
constituents?
rates, our KWH rates stay the same. That's a constant. The fuel cost will vary from month to month. So depending on how high it is in January or how low it dips in February, and that affects the overall bottom line. Yes, sir.
Okay. But, and I'm like Ms. Johnson, I would definitely like to see a program sponsored by CLECO, because we do have the light and the heating application program that is administered by community action agencies that they give a big relief, but they only do it twice a year. And I'm telling you, I had some people this summer who had never, ever used the assistance of the LAHEAP program and had to use it. And that right there was enlightening. Don't get me wrong, they got people that do it all the time, you know, twice a year. But when I got several calls from people that had never did it before and the program ran out of money and people really needed it, you know, I had a lady, 88 years old, called me about her light bill that was like $800. And I asked, it was a 2-month bill. And me and Ms. Johnson had a conversation. I told her, I said, let's make sure we ask them if it's a 1 or 2 month bill, because I don't believe in exaggerating the issue, because sometimes it doesn't do us any good. And it was a 2-month bill, but $400 a month for a single lady is a lot, you know. And we were able to get her some help, but I would definitely like to see a program from CLECO that is administered to our elderly and disenfranchised, that they can get direct help and direct services from you guys. Because that's all they know. They don't know, all they know is CLECO and us.
Yes.
And we get the brunt of it all.
Yep.
And so, you know, having you here for once or twice a year is fine. And so that's why we got to pour it all on you right now. and everything we're talking about is constituent based, you know.
I can take your message and carry it on and see what happens.
And what do we have to do? Write a letter, you know?
No, I'll carry your message on and see how it goes.
Yeah, 'cause
and
I mean,
see what we can do.
I do realize that most monopolies, and you guys are monopolies, 3 monopolies in the state, according to Mike Francis.
That's right.
And that's the only bad thing about monopolies. Monopolies control costs forever. And this contract said we're going to be controlled for 25 more years. And that's not a good thing going in knowing that monopolies are going to be able to set rates. Guess what I jokingly said? I kind of got a quirky attitude, make quick jokes, but I'd be dead serious. And I was going to joke and say, man, I'm going to be 80 when this contract over. So from 65 to 80, I hope they got some stuff in place, some concession for me.
I'll be
I'm not fighting for the elderly that's here now. I'm fighting for me.
Marlo, I'll be 82, and I hope I'm not back up here asking for an
So
extension.
fight for us, man, you know.
And
So,
can I just add to one thing you're saying?
wait, are you done?
I'm done. Thank you. No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
good.
Okay,
It's good.
no,
I'm
just,
good.
you can,
I'm
you know,
good.
Yeah.
get the floor.
Thank you.
You done?
Thank you, Willie.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just say, do you guys keep track of which elderly person has oxygen, like they use oxygen machines at home? Because if you turn off their electricity, a lot of times they're gonna use the oxygen machine. Do you guys have a list like that so you know who not to turn off?
We do have a list as long as they submit those names into us.
And who submits it? Does a person themselves?
In the past, and I don't know how it is now, but I know in the past, there was a form that the doctor would fill out, their doctor would fill out.
Excellent, okay.
And they'd send it into us.
Whenever you
And
Okay.
it doesn't necessarily guarantee that they will not be disconnected from power. It just means that we know that they are a priority customer.
Okay, so actually that's a little scary, but okay.
Well,
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying if people are dependent on their oxygen and they could still get disconnected because they can't pay a $800 light bill, that's a problem.
no, ma'am. And there again, if, no, in 30 years, what I've found with our company is that we work very well with our customers. And we give a lot of extensions, we give a lot of assistance if they ask, if they come in and they ask, or if they call and they ask. We're glad to do it. The last thing that any company wants to do is cut off somebody who's going to pay their bill. We work with them to try to help them out and try to get them over that hump that they need to cross. You know, that's one of the things that I've seen in other utility companies as well as us, is that we actually care about our customers, and we're going to do whatever we can to try to make sure that they have their lights and their power, and they can pay their bill, and we can work with them.
Well, I'll reiterate what I said earlier, you know, we need to take a look at this rate structure. We need to make sure we're not hurting the poor, the elderly, the disabled, and we need to probably make some decisions. You guys need to announce some programs, because people don't know that, and I think that if you did a survey of at least my constituents, you might not find that you guys are being held in high esteem right now because it was a really rough summer.
No, I know it was. I know it was.
And I don't even know what the winter's gonna be like, because it might be a warm winter. Look at where we are today, it's 80 degrees. So my thing is that you guys have got to come up with something to help your customers that are elderly and disabled.
Yes, ma'am.
The rest of us, I mean, we have to be able to get a second job, but the elderly and the disabled, most of the time, they don't have that option.
I understand.
And you're on Social Security, you spend $800 on your light bill, there's nothing left for food, and maybe not even water and gas.
And to answer Marlo's question, you know, we do, our rates are set by the Public Service Commission. They approve, they disapprove everything that we do. So we can't just go out and raise rates monthly or yearly. Everything has to go through the scrutinization of the LPSC.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have questions, comments, and concerns. Okay, so someone who is on at-home dialysis or oxygen can contact CLECO and let you guys know. That way, whenever the power randomly goes out, maybe you'll see, oh, well, there's a whole bunch of people that need their oxygen or dialysis in this area. Would they be like brought back up sooner?
We're aware, it makes us aware that those customers are electricity dependent. And not necessarily that we try to get them on. We have a criteria list: hospitals, nursing homes,
Right.
infrastructure, sewers, and then we start working on the residences
Right.
But it does make us aware that those customers are out there and they need their power.
Okay, that is good to know. And you guys aren't the only ones that have electricity that randomly goes out on a sunny day. We do in Acadian Acres all the time, you know, it's frustrating. Of course, I get the calls and I'm like, I'm not CLECO, you know, but then I'll like text you or something like, hey, you know, we're out of power again, beautiful day. And so you're really good about responding to and checking into that. That's great. I don't know, it's crazy that the power goes out so quickly for no reason. We kind of want answers, I guess, as to why that happens. And I don't know if it's just an old system that needs to be updated. I don't know anything about that sort of thing.
It's a combination of some rehab work that we're doing that needs to be done, and even animals. I hate to go back to squirrels, but squirrels and birds are always a concern, always a cause.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I think I'm done for now.
Okay. Anybody else have any other? Yes, ma'am.
One more?
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Everybody spoke, so we go back around.
So when Mike Francis was here, one of our constituents asked a question about the infrastructure, and Mike Francis said that the city of New Iberia owns our infrastructure. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, that's not correct. CLECO owns the poles and the wires and the
Okay.
equipment within the city.
Okay, so y'all might want to clarify that with him, because he said to the people in the room that we own our own infrastructure. And so, we just want to make sure we know who owns the infrastructure. And then I would say that you guys have to y'all got to do a better job of keeping the lights on, because, literally, right around, sometimes there's 200-300 lights that are out. I know in my district alone, there was like almost 100 lights that were out on the poles. And so, that's just not okay, because I'm sure we're getting billed for it.
Yes, ma'am. And Heather does a pretty good job of sending me emails from people that contact her that lights are out, and we try to get them done. As I get the emails, I send that on to the office to have orders made and get them done as fast as we can.
Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So in that instance, you don't have anybody on staff that will go around at night looking? Because, our police department has a lot of other things to do, and most of the time, that's the only time you can see that the lights are out is at night. And of course, the people that call you, they can say, well, it's on such and such a street, but then you want the address on the pole or the number on the pole oftentimes so you can change it. And at night, it's not safe to stop along the road to try to get that information.
And we don't have anybody that does streetlight patrols. A lot of our other municipalities and areas, the police department actually compiles lists as they patrol around.
And they have done that, and we do have a large number of streetlights at any one time we're turning in. It is a problem. I get a lot of calls myself, and I know I'm paying for every one, whether they're on or off.
no.
Right.
And that bugs me, but we do have, that is an issue. We have had quite a few streetlights out, and if we turn in, 40 or 50, 20 get fixed, 30 gets fixed, and we seem to have some that don't. We do have some that intermittently will come on and then off, so I don't know if, maybe when they were fixing them, they didn't get them all, but I can tell you that is something we are gonna have to try to all do a little better on, because I'm paying for them and don't always feel that, I can find 3 or 4 that I've turned in myself, and I'm still looking, and they still not changed. My other question is, when do you change them to LED? As you're changing them, or you?
Now, as we change them, if there's a light that's reported out and we go out on site and it's not working, the head's bad, the photocell's bad, we convert them to LEDs. We don't have any more high pressure sodium. We don't have any more of those old type lights in stock. Everything is LED lights.
Good, because we do still have quite a few old lights in our town, that's for sure.
That's
Those
right.
LED ones really put out a lot better. We have a distance between street lights, and we have not put any new street lights up because we can't really afford to. But the LEDs would go a long way, to spreading that light out. So I was glad to hear that they weren't getting replaced with any of the.
Everything is being converted to LEDs.
Good.
Can I finish?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. Don't. I'm the one that's supposed to be trying to.
Just took my time
I'm
away.
sorry, no, you have all the time in the world, I apologize.
My next question is about the poles. Now, I know in front of my house in particular, a pole was hit, okay? And CLECO said they couldn't take that pole because it was an AT&T pole. But now, the electricity is hooked up to the pole. So it was damaged, and it stayed damaged for a while. It wasn't until somebody finished the whole pole and the wires were just hanging up there with half of the pole that CLECO came out and changed that particular pole, okay? A few months after that, another pole down the street got hit. Now, it's got a cone next to it, like, don't hit this pole, it's got a little shiny cone there. So what's that issue about, you not changing out the poles in a timely fashion when they're damaged?
Is there another pole? Did we put another pole right next to it?
Nope, I told you, just a cone, so nobody else would hit it.
I can check into that, but typically if there's a pole
It's
that
at-
gets damaged, it gets replaced.
It's at 10:05, right in front of that house.
10:05?
Yeah, on Bank Street, yeah. Cause somebody's gonna hit it and then eventually the whole pole's gonna come down. And then y'all gonna come out and do all kinds of things, but it shouldn't have to come to that.
And what happens, the process is, you have CLECO on top, and then you have cable and AT&T, you have all these other services below it. So when a pole gets broken, we can go and we can set one on the side, we can put our equipment on, but we're not allowed to touch the other utilities. They have to come behind us, they have to remove theirs, and then we can remove the pole. But that pole should be in the ground. We'll check on it.
I'm finished now.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Just making sure.
One more question.
Councilwoman.
I promise this is gonna be my last one.
This is what we're here for.
Do you guys have a program for solar panels? I mean, to install solar panels and buy energy back from people? I mean, is there some sort of, are you pushing solar energy in our community? Because that seems a little more efficient and might solve some of our problems.
We have.
Got a lot of sunlight here.
We don't have any solar initiatives for, you're talking about rooftop solar?
Yes, for our residents. And even our businesses. I mean, just so that we can reduce the cost of our energy bills.
There's a lot of companies that will rent you solar panels or sell you solar panels, and we install what is called a net meter. And what that meter does, it captures the readings going into the house, and then whatever solar usage you use above and beyond your home usage goes back out into the system, and then that is read also, and there's a credit adjustment on that.
Yeah, but so CLECO doesn't have an initiative, I mean, as a utility company, as a, provider of electricity, you guys are not trying to push solar?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, we're looking at a 240 megawatt solar field in the northern part of Louisiana that will provide electricity for our customers.
And what about some of these lights that you guys put up? Is there not a way to have them stood up and with a solar panel so that it provides electricity to it? And, that's cheaper than the city having to pay because of all these wires and stuff everywhere. You know what I mean?
I know what I've seen them. In fact, I had one at my house that was not anywhere near power, so I had to put up a solar panel and a solar light.
Pico man with a solar panel.
Hey, maybe they're moving, they're being progressive.
I like it.
I didn't have power far enough to run, so I put up a solar light. And what happened, well, I know what happened in my case, was that after, let's say, 3 o'clock in the morning, there was no more light.
Okay, but you're talking home use, I'm talking commercial grade for our poles. I mean, there's a difference between the two. So, I mean, that would actually reduce some of the costs of the city if y'all use solar panels on even lights and, I mean, and I hate to say this, but when I lived in Atlanta, a lot of the poles had solar panels on them so that they pulled in the energy from the sun. I'm just asking.
But and there again, I just brainstorming. If we put a solar panel on each light or on each pole, that increases the cost of equipment. It increases the cost of
One-time
maintenance.
cost though, right?
Well, not necessarily. The lights those solar panels. Mine got damaged in a windstorm. If it gets damaged, if it gets broken, it has to be replaced, and those costs have to be passed on to the customer. So I'm not saying that it's not anything that could happen in a good environment, but I don't think it would be cost effective.
Okay, it's just, I mean, love to hear if you guys do anything progressive like that in any other cities. I mean, because as you look toward the future, we've got to figure out a way to cut the costs for the city and for our residents. And solar is supposedly, and I put the quotes, supposedly the answer to some of these issues. So it would be nice to know that our utility company is looking to that as their future so that they can pass it on to us.
And we are, like I said, it's 240 megawatt solar field is what we're looking at.
Okay,
And what we're invested in. So, and that's a start.
okay. And y'all gonna get rid of all this other coal stuff that y'all doing?
Yes, ma'am. We don't have any coal in our company anymore. The Dolly
But
Hills.
that's just recent, right?
That was as of December of last year, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, that's my last question.
Any other comments?
Yeah, one more question.
Oh, yes, sir.
You don't have to be long. Do y'all still cut the trees? Do y'all still cut trees around wires and lights and all of that? And what's that process?
We do. They go circuit by circuit on there's we have programs within the company where they go circuit by circuit. They'll take one entire neighborhood at a
Okay.
time, and they'll do that, and it's a 6-year cycle. So they'll cut back what's required, and then we'll do hotspot trimming in the meantime if any trees grow in it.
Okay.
But every 6 years, we come back to that same spot, and then we move on throughout our territory, and everything is on a 6-year cycle.
But if you have a tree running through a line that, say you're cutting a tree down in your yard, and you know how those trees grow 2 and 3 at a time, especially those chicken trees, and you cut yours, and then there's one that's growing into the line, would you suggest call y'all and get y'all to come cut it off in a
Call
case
us.
like that?
If it's the line from the transformer to the house, what we do in those cases is we cut the service, we cut the wire, and we roll it back, make it safe, let the customer cut the tree, and then we pick the wire back up, because that's in the customer's yard.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
One last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we entertaining any other companies?
Can't. In other words, Mike Francis,
They did that.
it's a monopoly. I know Ben doesn't believe me, but we don't own the poles, we don't own the wires, we don't own,
Yes,
We
we do. Look
don't.
at your bills, storm restoration and
it's-
infrastructure restoration. You
and we
can't
can't,
do
we
that.
can't go back and forth, Ben.
Yeah, but I'm just
I know,
telling you
but
the
we
truth.
can't go back and
That's what
forth.
we dying.
We,
We own it. Mike
we,
Francis was right.
Mike Francis said the same thing, we don't own it. Look,
He did say we own it, Freddie.
We
You wasn't
don't.
at that meeting.
So, see, okay.
we do not own the poles, we do not own the infrastructure.
Just so you know, Freddie, at the meeting that they had at the Slyman, he did say that.
You asked me where,
Yeah.
okay? You asked our city attorney. I'm using the same franchise agreement we used 25
No,
years ago.
and I'm not saying that.
I
that-
can't find anywhere in any document at City Hall, because I've heard that before,
Right.
that we own the infrastructure.
And-
So, just for a second, if CLECO owns the infrastructure, Mike Francis stood here at the meeting I was at, okay, and basically said, and it's not your fault, I'm not killing the messenger, the state set up monopolies, and each utility company has an area. Am I not correct?
Correct.
Okay, because they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars in infrastructure. So for them to spend that much money in infrastructure, somebody, long before us, made a map and said, this is your area. Okay, so if that's the case, and they have all the infrastructure in it, how do I go and call LUS? How do I go and call Slimco and say, okay, come on over? I really think that we could get some better rates, and so I'm gonna tell CLECO to leave, and you're gonna come in. They're not gonna come in when CLECO says every pole's mine, every substation's mine, every wire's mine.
Right. No, I get
You
that.
don't
It's
see
just-
that happening anywhere. Nobody comes and takes over one of those areas because the state, and I don't know how many long, at least 50 years ago, set up these monopolies. I mean, no offense. So I don't have a way to say, okay, I'm gonna get another utility company. I wish I did. I mean, competition's good. I own a construction company that I bid against people on every job I do. But I don't see that I can do that. Because how do I get somebody else to come in when CLECO owns all the transmission lines and every bit of the infrastructure?
Well, the deal is, they wouldn't take them, the other person would pretty much use them. They'd work out something where,
Lease agreement.
yeah, they would have to work out a deal, because they're not gonna take their
But
stuff
if you
regardless.
own it, you don't have to work out a deal. That's the whole point of why I don't like monopolies. I mean,
But
that's why we
if
have
they're not
laws
giving you the
against
service
monopolies.
that we want, or if
But if CLECO
somebody,
owns it and says, I'm not renting it, you
Well-
can't rent your house out if you don't want to, no one can rent your house if you don't want to rent your house. That's a very melted down
Let's-
example. But
let's
if-
just
if
say that would
CLECO
happen.
owns it,
Let's just
how
say that
do
would
you get
happen.
that? They're just gonna say no.
There would have to be evaluation of the system, and whatever provider would come in or would be looking at coming in would have to buy the system, buy the entirety from that utility company.
but it's possible.
Well,
But there again, let's say, let's throw out a number, and any number, $1 million, $100 million, whatever it is. If you buy out this municipality, you buy out that system, Well, that cost, whoever the other company is coming in, whether it's us looking at a city that we don't serve or somebody looking at a city that we do serve, that cost of that, what we buy that system for, has to be passed on to the customers.
It's gonna come back.
Yeah, because you remember Mike Francis said they make a profit. They never told me what the profit was, but CLECO makes a profit, and they make sure, and the Public Service Commissioner makes sure they make that profit. The Public Service Commissioner reviews all their cost, okay, everything they spend, and then lets them make a percentage on top of that. And there are some things that you can't mark up. You can't mark up the fuel extra. You can't mark up, I mean, he said that. So it's set up to a structure that they're gonna pass on every cost, and then they're gonna make a profit on top of that, of whatever that percentage is that they have agreed to. So if you have to buy it for $100 million, they're gonna pass that cost on. So the new company's gonna say, fine, I gotta make my profit, but I'm passing on $100 million, and then your bill goes up for all of that, and then they never lose. The one thing about utility companies, from what I see, every one of them, regulated by the Public Service Commission, they never lose. They always make, I take a job and I think I'm gonna make 15%, and then I get to the end of the job and I lost 5%. That's on me. No, there's nothing to bail me out to say, hey, I'm supposed to make this profit. But the utility companies have that. They are regulated, but they're always gonna make a profit. It's always gonna be through the Public Service Commissioner, and anything they do extra, they pass it on. They make the rules. Yes, ma'am. Wait, did anybody else have the floor?
No, I did.
I haven't
but,
spoken
No, I don't know if you're done.
She can have it now.
Okay.
So I understand what you're saying, Freddie, but and again, I just have a little different experience. When I lived in Atlanta, the Atlanta Gas Light Company was, not giving the greatest service, so they deregulated them. And they required them to lease their lines to these other companies. And so you could pick kind of your gas provider, even though they were using those same lines, and you could get a cheaper price. Now, that came at the state level, and it would probably be something where we would have to talk to our state representatives saying, we want deregulation to happen. It is possible. I'm not saying that's the solution. I think, that's one thing I've experienced, because I know that when they deregulated Atlanta Gas Light Company, or Atlanta Gas Company, not Gas Light, Gas Company, because Georgia Power has the electricity. You were then allowed to get, because they required them to lease to these other companies, and then you could, kind of bargain with them to get a better price. But that's deregulation. That's different from what we're talking about right now, but to Deidre's point, it's always a way. But it's at the state level. We couldn't do it, just us.
All right, Dustin, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I haven't said a word yet, and I've
No.
just been listening, which
Go.
is great. But y'all did have some great points, honestly. Willie, you hit the nail on the head just now with saying that, yes, if someone were to come out and buy CLECO or their infrastructure in this
Somebody
town,
did, the Australians.
it's going to be, no, what I'm saying is our infrastructure, it's just going to be passed down to the customer. Nobody's going to get a discount, which I don't believe that. So, like they were saying, if y'all have programs available, let us know. Freddie, you had a great idea. I think that's one thing we need to get rolling. But other than that, I'm not here to kill a messenger. And I appreciate you coming here and actually just speaking with us and hearing our concerns. But other than that, that's all I have for you tonight, and I appreciate you being here.
To go back on the energy efficiency, when you get your group together, your numbers together, let me know, and I'll get our energy efficiency group here.
Okay.
Or the person in charge of the residential program, and he can go over it with you firsthand.
Good, good.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Just one last question.
Yes, ma'am?
If we wouldn't sign the contract, what would happen? Or extended that far?
We can operate without a contract. The purpose of signing the agreement is we negotiate with the mayor, and we give some upfront money, and money that he can use for programs or benefits within the city, that improvements. 25 years is a standard contract with all municipalities. We're not asking for anything greater than what any other company or any other municipality has.
So nothing would happen if we cut it to 5 years or 10 years or whatever.
I think the franchise fee would be changed, possibly, reduced. That would be the downside to it.
So, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
So, I get your point, Deidre, but if you go to Clico and a corp, and you don't sign a franchise agreement, what this company's gonna do is say, I don't have the agreement in the right of ways of the city, so I'm gonna quit putting new improvements in your city. You're gonna stay within my parameters with the old utility system. I'm not gonna invest in your city because I need a franchise agreement to provide new entities, new stuff on your right of ways.
But we're not getting new stuff. That's one of
Well,
the issues.
obviously you're getting new poles. You may not see it, but you are getting some new stuff. They're not, you
Told
gotta
you
look
about
for
the
'em.
poles by my house, right?
But that's the reason why you sign a franchise agreement, so they can continue to invest in your communities with new infrastructure. Same thing with
That's
LawCo.
allegedly
Same
why
thing-
you signed
Same
them.
thing, we talked about public utilities, but LawCo owns all the public water lines in the city. Clico owns all the, Entergy owns all their gas lines, other than if it's private property. There's no other water provider, there's no other gas provider, there's no other Clico's. It's a public utility system that is designed way back in the day, which has districts set aside. And just, like Dee Dee said, in Atlanta, Georgia Power has the whole state of Atlanta, correct?
Well, there's one other company
Yeah,
that
small,
provides,
real small,
yeah.
So, yeah, do they have a monopoly? Do they have power? Yeah. Is there limited capacity, what you can do? Probably so, but I just think we just need to pursue the programs that are available and try to help out the best we can.
I would just like to see Clico do more, for the constituents that we have, because it seems like the mayor said and Mike Francis said, you're gonna make your percentage regardless of anything that happens. Y'all gonna make your percentage, but people that really need your service may lose it because they can't afford that price. But you're gonna make yours anyway, regardless, with them or without them. And that's the bottom line right there. It shouldn't all be about a dollar. It should be about helping people, providing a service. That's what you do, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's for a price, but provide that service, just like we provide a service for our constituents and stuff. But, just maybe doing something a little bit more, especially for, like we said, the disabled and the elderly, who actually need the services more than a lot of people, like me. No, I'm elderly, and I'm not elderly yet. But I would, I'm a senior citizen, so, I don't need that right now, but a whole lot of other people do, and big businesses need to really look at that. You just kind of squash those people, and flick them off like bugs, and that's not fair to do it.
I understand. I don't think we're that harsh with our customers.
$800 and the lady couldn't pay,
Mr.
But you would
Broussard?
cut her off if she had oxygen.
Hang on, Mr. Broussard.
You can go on now.
Thank you. Mr. Broussard?
Transformers,
Yes, sir.
switches, circuit breakers. That's the excuse we hear, that they have to get one from 3 states over. And it takes 2 or 3 days. Can y'all stock some of this for bad times?
We do stock transformers, we do stock material, but since COVID, supply chain has tightened up quite a bit, and we have a supply. We do have what we need, but there are some areas that supply chains just don't have what we need right then.
Just said if y'all can keep up with that, it'll help too. Because we've heard that when we call what's going on, y'all tell us this and that. If y'all can fix this and that, might be better for everybody.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Right. Everybody done? That's been a good discussion. Willie, as always, thank you for coming. You're a very
Thank y'all.
patient man. I appreciate it.
And we're not trying to, kill the messenger.
No, we're not. Willie
It's not
does.
nothing personal.
Willie himself does a great job for us.
I'm
and
married with
he's-
8 kids. I get killed every day.
And he's always available, and I thank you a
Yeah,
lot
that's
for
the
that.
truth.
So, we'll have more discussion. We have 2 more meetings and some more steps, and we'll proceed with, continue to talk about it. We'll introduce something at the next meeting and see where it goes. But I appreciate all the discussion. It's all been really good, and that's why we're here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good evening. All right, Madam Clerk.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-3, amendment number 2, an ordinance amending the budget to account for havoc work for the Cliff Oakland building.
HVAC work. All right, I need a motion to open this public hearing.
Motion.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas, a second by Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed. Is there anyone here to comment on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed and Councilwoman Brooke Markcott. Thank you. Madam Clerk, 4B.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-4, amendment number 3, an ordinance amending the budget to reflect receipt of and utilization of LGAP funds for the purchase of a compact excavator.
Motion to open our public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Brooke Markcott and a second by Councilman Marlon Lewis. Anybody here to discuss on this item? Hearing and seeing none, motion to close.
Motion.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas and Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, 4C.
Ordinance number 2022-25, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a parcel of property located on Condron Lane and authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute any documentation in connection therewith.
I need a motion to open our public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Deidre Ledbetter and a second by Councilwoman Brooke Markcott. Is there anyone here to discuss on this item? Hearing seen none, motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
Councilwoman Deidre Ledbetter and Councilwoman Brooke Markcott. Thank you. Madam Clerk, 5A.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-3, amendment number 2, an ordinance amending the budget to account for HVAC work for the Cliff Oakland building.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas and a second, I think, by Councilman Broussard this time. Is there any discussion on this item?
Has the work already been performed?
No, it's in process.
Okay.
We had just about all the money, but we need to pass this. But it's, units are ordered and, won't be long.
Okay. All right.
Anybody else? Then I ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you. 5B.
Special ordinance number 2022-2023-4, amendment number 3, an ordinance amending the budget to reflect receipt of and utilization of LGAP funds for the purchase of a compact excavator.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Motion by Councilman Dustin Swear and a second, I think, by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. Is there any discussion on this item?
This is those grant funds that they
This
gave
is
us to buy some
LGAP
small
from a
equipment.
couple of years ago. Yes,
Right.
ma'am. Yep. Anything else? Then I ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you. All right, 5C.
Ordinance number 2022-25, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a parcel of property located on Condron Lane and authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute any documentation in connection therewith.
I have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Deidre Ledbetter. I need a
Second.
second. Second, Councilwoman Brooke Markcott. Any discussion on this item?
I just have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
When we purchase this property, please let us keep the grass cut.
Well, I plan on
Cause
coming back to you.
I called that in a while back.
Yes, ma'am. I plan on coming back to you and, we'll either pave it. If we do limestone, we have to do a curb around it. We'll either do a concrete curb and limestone for parking, or we'll go ahead and pave it. But I wanna do that quickly because this property has been a long time in getting us to clear the title and be able to buy it, but it looks bad. So I agree with you.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Oh, yes, sir.
So, timeline, so now that we're voting to,
We have a
Give you the-
couple of other steps. We're gonna get an appraisal, just like we did, remember, on the school. So we need to get an appraisal before I can actually buy it.
Okay.
And, because we need to do that. And then we'll do the paperwork with, Civic Source. They're not as quick as I would like them to be. So In my guess, it'll be a couple of months.
Okay, that's what I need to know.
But in the meantime, once you give me the approval and I know we're gonna do it, I can start lining up the parking lot, I can start lining up, designing the parking slab, and, you know, so that once we own it, we can move on it pretty quick.
Okay, thank you.
So it's gonna be used as a parking lot
Yes,
across
it's-
from Bank
yes.
Street Park? Okay.
Something that, Councilwoman Ledbetter and I looked at a couple of years ago. So, I mean, it doesn't
Longer
move
than
fast, but, yeah, it's been a while.
I mean, I won't lie, I used to park in it all the time when I played across the street, but whatever.
Anybody else? Then I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you very much. All right, move on to resolutions, 6A.
Resolution number 22-240, endorsing the application of Bates Motel LLC for Restoration Tax Abatement Program.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Motion by Councilman Marlon Lewis and a second by Councilman Dustin Swear. Yes, sir.
Just to be clear, we're voting to endorse, but we don't have any authority over approving or disapproving, correct?
Right, we're voting to advance it. In other words, we agree with this and we send it in, and if it is eligible and they can get the tax credits, great, because, you know,
Okay.
this is, local business people who've made quite a few investments in our community, so if they can get this, I wish them all the luck in the world, so we just send it on.
Okay, thank you.
Question?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a 5-year exemption, so that's, I think, $23,000 of taxes that they would be exempt from.
Yes.
Can this be renewed for an additional 5 years?
Yes, I think you can go up to 10 years. That's correct.
Yes.
They come through the process again, but they would be able to renew it for 10 years. And we have had quite a few people take advantage of this through the state, and it spurs development,
Okay. So potentially 46,000.
eventually.
Hope we could get some jobs for our people.
Yeah, well, that's how Rouse's is here, that's how, you know, small and large, and you kinda gotta do it for everybody, but it all spurs taxes, it all spurs jobs, and, you know, if not, what do you have with a bunch of empty buildings?
Would they still pay the hotel tax, like when people stay there? I think it's a motel, right?
It will be, yes, I think they would, that, not exempt from that.
Okay, so we would still get hotel tax. All right, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, sure. Anybody else? And I'd ask you please vote your machines. Thank y'all. All right, 6B.
Resolution number 22-241, providing for canvassing the returns and declaring the results of a special election held in the city of New Iberia, state of Louisiana, on Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, to authorize the levy of a special tax therein.
Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Motion by Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none?
That's from the,
The results of the,
reallocation, right?
yes, yes.
I think all the discussion was had on the sidewalk over there.
Yeah, and it was fun. And anyway, anybody else? Then please vote your machines. Thank you very much. All right, 6C.
Resolution number 22-242, awarding contract to Southern Contractors Constructions LLC for the Jefferson Terrace Drainage Improvements Project Phase 2, and authorizing the mayor to execute and negotiate any and all documentation in connection therewith.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Dustin Swear and a second by Councilman David Broussard. Any discussion on this item?
So was this the only company that sent in a bid?
Yes, we advertised, went through all the motions and steps, and that was our only bidder.
Okay.
That's the project that Ms.
That's
Ledbetter.
on Jefferson
went-
Terrace,
Been
right.
working on.
Yes,
Going under
it's
the
another
tracks and-
phase. We already went under the tracks and
Been
went to
under
the
the
bayou, but we stopped at the tracks, basically. Now we make it to the vet clinic, Dupree's, has some flooding right in the front of it. That will take care of this. We don't make it too much further than that with this money. And then we'll look at our results, our engineers here tonight, and we'll decide how much further we could go in another phase. We run out of elevation. In other words, as you're rising up, you're gonna run out of slope. So we're not sure if it's gonna be worth going further or how much further, but once we do this phase, then we'll look and see what we could do, you know, as a last phase.
Okay.
It's staying on the Coburn side, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct,
okay.
correct. But we have a cut through that will let the water come from the veterinary side
Right.
over across. Any other questions? Then I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you. Chandler, you have anything? No. Okay. You're good, I'm good. All right, yes, sir. And we are looking at a few options, just to tell you, I always try to do that. We are looking at a few value engineering options, just to see if there are some things that we could reduce the price a little bit.
Okay.
But Chandler and I have talked about that. We've kind of met with the contractor once, so that is something that we'll continue to go through.
Okay.
Thank you. 6D.
Resolution number 22-243, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute a mutual detention agreement contract by and between the City of New Iberia and the City of New Orleans.
Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Marlon Lewis and a second by Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte. Any discussion on this item?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we have a juvenile that is transferred to New Orleans, can we send the guardian the bill? Like, is that a thing?
Well, we have a
paying?
process. We have money set aside, and we have to pay for some of it. Once the court accepts them and everything else, it's off of our nickel. But we do have to pay for that. We have brought juveniles as far as Alabama. We have brought juveniles to North Louisiana. One of our officers who hails from New Orleans, who's been with us since the PD was formed, of course, he has connections in New Orleans, and he's been working on this tirelessly to try to get us a contract with New Orleans because it would be closer. We don't like having to bring juveniles, that far, but there is no facility in Acadiana to take them, and we have some unfortunately violent juveniles that need to be incarcerated until they work all this out. So we would be thrilled to end up with something as close as New Orleans because we don't have that right now. And we put money in the budget to pay for that. We have programs and we have things that we are interested in doing and that people in our community are putting together to help. But there are some kids that do need to be locked up. I mean, we unfortunately there is some violence.
Right.
So we want to have as many places as we can that we could have the opportunity or the option. So we're not giving up on the North Louisiana facility. We're not going to give up on the one in Alabama, but this would give us another tool in the toolbox to have another facility. I do have to do some negotiating on it, which you give me the approval to do on the price. So we're still talking back and forth, but I needed this first step to know that, I could proceed.
Yeah, I'm fine with the contract. I'm just saying, if we're paying the bill,
Yeah,
why
well-
don't we forward that to the parents?
Some of it, we just have to pay. It doesn't last long, and normally within so many days, we work hard, and the PD does too, because that's a PD's budget, works hard to get them to be accepted and past our nickel, but, other times, we pay for a good while, but that's why we have that money budgeted.
Okay, I just feel like there could be,
Look, I'd love to pass everything on, but I don't think that's how.
some of our money back at least,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
maybe it'll make the parents more aware and say, oh, I don't want to pay that amount,
I
and
would
get the
love to
kids
do
under
that,
control.
but, yeah.
That's just my thought.
But if a violent crime has happened that I have to, isolate that juvenile, I don't have time to wait for that. I mean, that.
Oh, no, I get that, like, we
Yeah,
foot the
you're just
bill
trying
at
to go in
first.
arrears and say,
We
yeah.
foot the bill
yeah.
at first, but then the city eventually sends
Hey.
the parent or guardian
Right.
a bill, get your money back, reimbursement.
Well, that's an idea. I can't say it's not a good idea. I don't know if it'll work, but,
I'm against the law.
Not everybody.
yeah, there's probably some issue why we can't, or we
Right.
would, but I like the idea.
I'm just, look,
Yes, sir.
I just want to say the term's got to be less than 24 months.
Yes,
Like
I
we
agree,
talked
I agree. We were hoping to do it like for a year at a time. Yes, ma'am.
So this would prevent us from having to send any of our kids to Angola, correct? Because I know there've been a lot of talk about
We
sending
have
the
not
violent kids to
sent any
Angola.
of our kids to Angola.
No, I'm
We
saying this
always
would
have
keep us from
facilities.
having to move in that
Yeah,
direction.
I don't know that was ever really an option for us, to tell you the truth, because we had done our legwork and found other opportunities.
Okay. There's
As
just been a lot of talk
facilities-
about that.
There has, and there's talk of 2 juvenile facilities closing And we're gonna end up looking at other options because we are gonna have less and less choices, it seems like, because there's a whole lot of requirements. And you figure the education requirement, the medical requirement, the psychological requirements. I mean, it is not, people think, oh, we'll just go house some juveniles. You know, we got an empty jail or whatever. It doesn't work that way. It's a
Right.
whole system that you have to follow. So I do know that it is not easy to start one. That's why we're trying to go to this kind of existing one. But I don't think for our kids that we've been blessed that Angola's never been an option.
That's great. I mean, I just know I've heard a lot in the news where people don't have any facilities for youth, and they were talking about moving them to Angola in the secure area.
Right.
And, I mean, to me, that would be traumatic, and some of these kids may not even be able to survive some of that. So I'm thankful that we have this option in New Orleans, and if we have to pay for it to give them an opportunity to maybe even have a second chance, to me, that's money well spent.
Oh, yeah, no. And if you can, you know, any kid we reach early enough, they can be turned around. That's the whole point of
Yeah.
this, you know? And also to protect our community.
Right,
Anybody else?
really.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make, I guess I'm asking a question. I thought the Angola thing came out of them closing down facilities that were subpar facilities, and they were going to send them to a better facility. And I think the argument was more or less that they were going to Angola. That name, it was more about that name Angola than it was about them
was-
not having enough. I know they closed like Bridge City. They closed a couple of detention centers
Yes.
that I grew up hearing about being fearful of. That's why I didn't get in a lot of trouble when I heard Bridge City and Brown Hall and all that. And you know,
Military school.
But I
you know,
think,
you would hope that they hear Angola and they stay out of trouble.
I think it also was where in Angola they were putting them. They were putting them in the maximum security wing of it that they actually no longer house regular maximum security people in. It was vacant, and so they were going to put the kids there. I mean, those facilities, I mean, that's where they lock people down for 23 hours a day. That's not where you want to put a kid.
And I'm not a proponent of that, and I know that's not what the discussion is about. I'm not a proponent of that, but I am a proponent of putting some kind of fear in these kids because they ain't scared of nothing no more.
Right.
And that's part of the problem, that they're not scared of anything anymore. I was scared of LTI growing up and so on. They're not scared of LTI no more. They were scared of the parish prison. They're not scared of that no more. So I'm just saying, you know, talk to, when you get a chance, I have a few family members and friends that work in Office of Juvenile Justice. Talk to a few people like me and you and talk to them about what's actually going on in that system, not with the administration, but with the kids.
Okay.
Just talk, just get a candid one-on-one with people that work there. And I'm not saying that I may change his mind. I'm not saying Angola one way or the other, but I know one thing: these kids need a dose of fear, like we had when we were growing up. And I'm not saying that Angola is that fear, but just, you know, I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
I got in trouble, and then my dad would cut out the ad for the military school and put it at my place where I sat to eat dinner. It might have worked. Yes, sir.
Okay, so they have a per diem rate or per day rate of $50 for exclusive beds held for the
No,
city.
it's
Do we
200.
know how many? No. So
Yeah, that's to hold the bed, right. But
so
then
how many beds
we
are
were
held
talking about
exclusively?
possibly 3.
Okay, so that's
But it's
a
$200 and
that's.
something dollars a night. It could be $300 a night by the time we're done.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is so right here it says beds held exclusively for the city of New Iberia will pay a per diem rate of $50 a day. So I'm guessing that's for beds that we say, hey, those are
Yeah,
ours.
If we say those are ours, those are our beds.
We're gonna
and-
pay that rate
and we are still
regardless.
negotiating all of that,
Uh-huh.
you know, because I can't have it.
So that's almost like an automatic rate that we just to secure those beds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Anybody else? Then I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you. All right, 7A.
Introduction of special ordinance number 2022-2023-5, amendment number 4, an ordinance amending the budget to roll over prior year unused appropriated funds for the City Hall air handler and chiller, and setting for public hearing on December 20th, 2022.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman DeeDee Johnson-Reed and a second by Councilman Dustin Swear. Is there any discussion on this? No discussion? And please vote your machines. Thank you. All right, 7B.
Introduction of special ordinance number 2022-2023-6, amendment number 5, an ordinance amending the budget to appropriate funds collected and reclass city funds appropriated for James Lee Burke statue and setting for public hearing on December 20th, 2022.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas and Councilman Dustin Swear. Any discussion on this item?
So this is the money that the group raised.
Right, we
And
put
then-
up some money, and Public Works will pour the foundation for it, and a private group raised the rest of the money. Very similar to how we did the Veterans Memorial. And this would go across from Victor's, right next to the gazebo, and it is a full-size sculpture of James Lee Burke.
Okay. Do you remember how much we put up?
We put up a total of $25,000, and they raised all the rest.
Okay.
Is where we are. And 20 will go toward the sculpture, and then I wanted them to pay for the base. So 5, we budgeted, did a little design and priced it. So 5 would be for the base of the sculpture that I would run through Public Works. And the 20 would go toward the sculpture.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
That's going to be considered part of the park, right?
Yes, definitely. And I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you. Councilman remarks. I don't know where I started last time. Do you remember? Oh, yeah, that's true. I did it myself. All right. Thank you. I won't do that again. Councilman Swear.
I have none tonight, thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so first, I'd like to thank everyone who showed up last Saturday to help with the Hopkins Street cleanup, the Martin Luther King Memorial Parkway. It was a great event. Special thanks to the Sons of Kings, Councilman Lewis, Mayor Freddie DeCourt, and a few other citizens that joined us.
It's fun.
It was a great event. We were able to clean up all of Hopkins Street, and so when the final decorations come up, you know, hopefully the street will still be clean and, you know, people will enjoy just riding down there and taking a look at the decorations. But, and then also like to thank Pelican for providing the dumpster. We really appreciate it, and it's still out there, so we appreciate that. And then also would like to thank Parish Proud for providing the equipment. So it was a great event, and we hope that in the future, more people come out as we continue to clean up our community. Also, I forgot to mention this at the last meeting. I want to thank everyone who showed up for the session we had on succession planning, because we had quite a few people that came and got some good information, and I hope that they're able to use that information to move to transfer title of these family homes into their names. And if you are someone who, maybe you missed it because it was at 12 o'clock on a Monday, you need the information, please reach out to me. I still have some information I can provide you. And then the last thing is that I don't want to forget to announce that we have Yuletide on the west side on December 17th, where we're going to light up the West End Park. And so we're asking that everybody come out and join us. If you're a vendor, contact Tyra McWhorter, because this is going to be a fun event, and we hope that everybody will come out and take a look at the lights in the park and really just enjoy themselves.
What time?
Thank you.
3 to 7.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have to say today, about Pelicans, I know things are improving, but I did get, some complaints about the way the garbage trucks are leaving the cans in the street and, in the way of traffic and all, and you know, sometimes then they just fall over and And the cans are new, and we want to keep them as such. So I don't know what Pelicans can do about the drivers of the truck, because it's their job to sit it back where it's supposed to be and not be in the street. But they won't last very long if that continues. And it could also cause an accident. A car could run into one of those cans.
Right.
So just be mindful of that. But otherwise, things are, going well so far. Better, put it that way, much better.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So, we all talked about helping our families in need tonight. We have no less than 2 hours left to go contribute to Food for Families tonight at Sugarcane Festival Building. I'm heading out there, helping them load the trucks after this. So if you have some canned goods or something you want to contribute, it stays in our community to feed our families. So it's a good way to give back to the community. And appreciate anything y'all can do to give things to the community. That's it.
Thank you. Superstar.
Talked about Pelicans. Mr. Mayor, you're doing a real good job, but still we have a lot to do with the whole company. That's bad when some people call us up. Pelicans, we call up to get a new garbage can, not recycling, garbage. They've been holding garbage at the house for 3 weeks to put in something. We finally got one done today, but there's a few, it's not everybody, but a few that need the new cans. And call up myself, 380-1211, if anybody ever says they don't know the number. Or the mayor's office, please, we need your call, because it's, it's a transition, but it's a rough one. We're all getting calls on different people that haven't got their service done yet,
Yes, sir.
so I hope it moves out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, last year we did a toy giveaway at Zion Hill Christian Fellowship. We partnered with Cool Scene Drive-Thru, and Hike Menville Grubs and Dalbo. We partnered with them. They help us provide toys for some needy kids, and we're doing it again this year. The tentative date is December the 17th. So any other people that want to partner, get with myself, 337-577-3448. Darren Sofas at Zion Hill. He's coordinated, again, partnered with Hikes Menville Grubs and Dalbo and Cool Scene Drive-Thru.
Cool.
So December 17th at Zion Hill Christian Fellowship Church.
Great. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Speaking of Pelicans, I literally just got a text with a picture of a trash bin in the middle of the road, and I've gotten a few complaints about them being put maybe not on a flat surface, and I think because they're so lightweight, they kind of flip into the street is what's happening. So maybe if we could figure out a way to get them placed better, more sturdy,
Okay.
so that doesn't happen. And we need our recycling bins still. Got a bunch of requests for those,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's it.
Okay, I have a few. I'll start with Pelicans myself and Republic, and I'm gonna call him out. We never had a rep that came to every meeting. Tommy T's been at every meeting since this started, so he is hearing all of these things, and I keep seeing him put stuff in his phone. We talk every day. I know what time the garbage route finishes. I know what time I know recycling is an issue, but what time they're finishing. We talk about the bulky waste, so I get information every day that I've never gotten before. We are in a transition period. We do have some issues. We're trying to work through them. Republic has not picked up cans, as you know, and I can't thank them enough. Public Works has been out there sometimes picking up 500 cans in a day, putting them on a flatbed truck, unloading them by hand into a backhoe bucket. It is very nasty work, and then putting them into a dumpster. Those guys have gone over and above because Republic has not. I get a lot of promises. I get some action from them. We are holding a check. They will not get the check, and Joe has done a good job of keeping all of our time, and the balance of what I owe him will be subtracted by what Public Works is spending. That has compounded our problem of a complicated transition, because we have had just as many complaints about get this Republic can out of my yard as we have had of where's my recycling can. We met with the owner of Pelicans, Tommy T, and all of his staff last week. They did not order enough recycling cans. It is, you call in when you need one, but they are working on getting more recycling cans. We all have list after list of who wants them. I did see some more have come in, and they are getting them out. Tommy was making notes in his phone, and I will talk to him after the meeting about the trash cans in the road and that things, they're falling over or going back into the street. As I talked to Rowdy, the owner, we are in a transition. I am taking notes. By the end of this month, we have to be past the transition. Our contract has a lot of milestones. It has some liquidated damages. It has things in it. We did do a good contract. I am being patient. They are working to correct their issues. We have a local call center. No longer when you call that you go to a call center somewhere else where, no offense, I found them rude. That has not been the case. I've called it sometime myself just to see. They're polite. Every time I ask Tommy, every time I talk to Snook, every time I talk to anybody over there, they have handled the issue. But we do still have some complaints in some areas that the drivers are still learning. I find that and I'm trying to miss on purpose, I'll pick up the phone and call Kashoni or Tommy or Snook and say, this street didn't get done. They get on it. They have been out here as late as 7 o'clock at night to finish a route. Their drivers are learning their streets. We had some issues that we didn't have enough boom trucks at a few days, and then they've made up with that, and they are making good strides at catching up with the yard waste. So I ask everybody to be patient. At the same time, don't quit calling. Don't quit telling us what we need to repair. Don't, tell us where there's an issue. We don't know about it if we don't hear about it. So I am hoping, and I do see progress, and I think that everybody's, trying, so I think that will get better. That's my first thing.
I'd say something, ask you to do one thing, as you talk to them, is also let us know when people can start to purchase the second can. Because I have some constituents
Oh, I have
that
some too.
want, and when I called into the helpline, they said that they're not giving out the second can they're not taking payment for it right now because they're still handing out the first can.
Right.
So,
And the first cans, I don't want to put Tommy on the spot, but we should be just about finished, the first cans.
Yes, about 3 weeks ago, we contracted a crew. They're putting out cans now, about 200-300 a day. And then, the recycling, we have another crew we contracted, and I have a truck coming from home to tomorrow, it could be if they didn't come. And, the recycling list was about 200-300, and that should be done this week. But we still getting calls, have they seen the cans?
Oh, you're going to. I mean, we had
Calls, so the list goes down and it goes down.
we had about 3,000 people recycling, and then I was
in Acadian Acres today in that district area, and I wrote to our district with Snow. I spent the whole day here, and the breeze looking a lot better. Been doing it every week, every 2 weeks was a nightmare. But they put it out.
Oh, no, I think that's one of the pluses of this contract is that they pick it up every week. We just got to get our act together. Thank you.
That is looking better.
It is.
Yeah.
So next thing, NIPD, you remember last year we had a Santa Claus and we rode around and y'all put in names. Please give us the names again. That is something that is going to happen. The kids at various high schools are collecting toys, and so that will happen again. I'm excited about that. I thought that made a real good impact in our community. And then y'all get ready to take a trolley ride, okay? It will come next year, whether it's February or March, and I need some input for when we do this. I want to rent a trolley. I'm not driving it, okay? I want to bring the press. I want us all to go, and it is a meeting. And what I want, if you're willing, is each council person give me 3 things that are, because I don't operate on the negative. Give me 3 things that are really great in your district, that are working, that we've done or past is done, just 3 things that are really good attributes for your district. But then I need 3 bad ones. And what I want to do is, we already are a great team. I think that this can only improve our communications, and I want each council person and the mayor pro tem and myself to see where your challenges are. We have 2 years, we're at the mid-mark of this term. We have 2 years left, okay? I want to hit the gas. So I think that a fun way to do it would be we ride through the city, we talk about where our challenges are in each district and where we have done well in each district. And I think that it will help us over the next 2 years. You know, we have master plans, we've implemented much of them, we're continuing to work on that. We spent the $100,000 that we had in each district. There's a few scraps left that people are, finishing up with. But I think that this could be the catalyst for, our next adventure that does some things that are over and above what, I don't think a council's done that before. So I need some input from when we do it, because we're all busy, everybody has jobs, everybody has things to do. I don't know when you want to do it, but please think about it, because it's something I would like to pull off in the first quarter of next year, because like I said, we're at the halfway mark together, so the first half was great, let's make the second half even better. With that, let's see, next meeting is December the 20th, and we have those MS4 storm surveys that we ask people to fill out, and we still have properties for sale on civicsource.com. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you.